you join us on this rather wonderful British summer's day. In my IONIQ 5 video, I spoke about how the designers were obviously obsessed with a certain game, referencing Cyberpunk, but with this one, I think they've taken it to a whole new level. So I would like to retract my previous statement about them reading too much Ruth Bethea for the IONIQ 5 and apply it to this car instead. I was lucky enough to go to Reading for the launch of the car, and a lot of people had very similar things to say.
No, it doesn't disappoint. It's a very nice looking car.
I think the car is stunning. I don't think there's another word for it.
Absolutely stunning. Better in person. I didn't like the front end from the pictures, but in person, really good. And that colour really works for it.
Genuinely, I don't think the pictures do it justice.
Love the car. Love the colour of the car.
Well, it's true. It's an absolutely stunning car. I've had the pleasure of driving from there to there.
Today, though, we have a chance to actually drive it. So, shall we see if it's just a pretty face, or if it is indeed the most anticipated car of this year? Let's not beat around the bush. This car is designed to take on the Model 3. Prices for these cars start very similar at the time of filming. The Model 3 with enhanced audio pilot is £46,390. The IONIQ 6 Premium, £47,040. Range is very similar to the Model 3 is 305. And this car, this is 338. And both cars are rather desirable. I don't want to compare them too much though. I want to see if this stands up on its own merits. I guess the first thing we should talk about is the design. I have flip-flopped on it. At first, I was not too sure. And then I saw it in the flesh and I couldn't believe how stunning it was. It's not hard to see where the design of this car got its inspiration from. There are elements of old Porsche in here, as well as modern designs, and of course that 60s, 70s streamliner look. That look of what people thought cars would look like in the future. And much like the future at the time, everybody thought everything would be running on nuclear power. This car isn't nuclear powered, but depending on where you get your electricity from, it kind of could be. It's almost like the old and the new coming together to create something truly unique. Here's a little example of some of the design aspects of the car. That rear wing that's on the back. How many iterations do you think they tried in the wind tunnel before they settled on that ducktail spoiler? 10? 20? 30 maybe? Even 80? 80 different designs to make sure that the air flows just right and it still looks aesthetically pleasing. Here's another good example. The seats in the Premium are rather beautiful black and grey colour. They've been designed so that it uses recycled tyre rubber and bamboo charcoal so that the environment is cleaner. You get that deeper black as well. The mats themselves, the carpet mats, are made out of recycled old fishnet. While they are not the most abundant pollutant in the sea, they do cause the most damage. And I like that. I like the fact that I'm driving around with my feet on something that could have been ruining marine life. Makes me feel a little bit better about myself. And how about this? There are hidden vents which are active aero in the front. When you need them to, they'll cool all of the components that you need cooling, but when you don't need them, they'll shut. They improve your drag coefficient by 20%. 20%! There are also bumps in the rear quarter, and I was wondering what on earth they could be used for. Those bumps are used to create what's called an elliptical vortex, which helps the air smooth out against the body of the car, making it more slippery, and again, improving your drag coefficient, which gets you more range. Even tiny little things like the winglets on the car. They channel air to the back of the car to make sure you have more grip, because of course, this is rear-wheel drive. Hyundai goes so far as to calling their interior a mindful cocoon. And normally I'd say, that's advertising jargon, but to be fair, it does feel like I'm cockpitted and helps me focus on the drive more, which means you're more likely to drive more safely, so I guess it works. The car has even got Hyundai's Matrix headlights as well. This means that they'll automatically dip to block the car that's in front of you. So you don't blind them, but you get full beams for the rest of the road. Very cool idea. It's almost like a mixture of modern bar and old school design, a meld of the two coming together in perfect harmony. I quite like it, it must be said. Yes, I want RGB lights when I drive, but I also want toggles on the dash like I'm in an old school fighter plane. Or maybe perhaps I want this dual screen design, but I want to sit on these rather comfy classically designed seats. It all melds perfectly together. Before we move on though, are you enjoying the video? Let us know by hitting the like button, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe. It's free, you can unsubscribe at any time, and by liking the video it may take you only a few seconds, but it helps us out massively and allows us to make more content like this for you in the future. So thank you. But anyway, let's talk about specifications then. At the moment, there are 2 flavors to choose from unless you've managed to pick yourself up a launch edition, and that is Premium and Ultimate. And the Premium, which is what we're in today, does come stacked with features. Obviously, you get that rear ducktail spoiler we mentioned before. You get flush manual door handles, 20-inch wheels as standard. Standard 2 is the heated steering wheel, which heats up very quickly and gets very hot. You get an electric parking brake, you get heated, folding, rear view mirrors. Of course, you get a reversing camera with the correct lines in the correct places, and you can even go to this top-down view just for the rear, just in case you don't want to curb the end of your car. You also get rear parking sensors for when you can't quite see where you're going on a rainy day. You get regenerative braking as well, and you can pull and hold it so that you get the full maximum amount of braking, basically one-stop pedal stuff. Or you can turn it to the minimum if you decide that you want to drive around like a racing driver. Smart keyless entry is completely standard on the car as well. You also get a frunk, or a front trunk, a front boot, for anybody watching in the UK, and you get a heat pump as well. I covered this in my IONIQ 5 video, but essentially a heat pump takes the outside air that's cold or the components that are hot and uses that to help with battery life and savings. It's a phenomenal little system. Of course, you get preconditioning with the car as well, the ability to go through your smartphone and adjust all of that, a height adjustable rear tailgate, and of course different drive modes for those who want to drive economically. And it's not just the big stuff either. The alloy pedals, for example, they're standard on the car. They're not a £150 option, they are there on every single model. The heated seats are standard, oh, and the ones in the rear outer heated seat, those are standard. The ones in the back, they are heated. You also get USB Type-C cables all over the car. You've got 2 in the front, you've got 2 in the back, you've got a normal USB Type-A in the front as well. And of course, vehicle-to-load charging and all the rest of it too. You get passenger and driver electronic lumbar support as standard. Hyundai definitely didn't need to put that many features into what is the standard car, but they have, and I like that a lot. It goes without saying this car also has LEDs everywhere. The front lights, the positioning lights, the lights that are in here, they are all LEDs, which means they're probably going to last longer than I will. The rear windows are tinted, obviously, and dual-zone climate control is standard as well. And Hyundai still have buttons for the climate control, which is a very sensible idea, especially when you live in an area where weather can change like that. Of course, auto lights, auto wipers, dipping mirror. Of course, they're all standard as well. With all of this coming as standard, it would be no surprise, of course, that the car has got a wireless charging pad, 2 12.3-inch dual displays. Once again, the steering wheel's positioned perfectly so you can actually see both displays completely. You get over-the-air updates with the car, which means you never have to worry about plugging it in or downloading firmware or any of that nonsense. You can just let it do its thing. You also get 3 years of connected car services with BlueLink Android Auto and Apple CarPlay on the car too. Safety is also a big part of the car, as I mentioned before. In fact, there's so much safety, I'm going to struggle to go through it all, so here's a big list scrolling through the screen. And of course, Hyundai, as ever, are sitting on an insane warranty. 12 years of anti-perforation warranty, for example, but also 5 years of unlimited mileage warranty, and 8 years on the battery too. Oh, and like I said before, if you want to power your house, the car's got vehicle-to-load monitoring as well. But David, I hear you cry, what on earth could the top-of-the-range car have that this one doesn't? What does the Ultimate have? The top-of-the-range car will include automatic flush door handles, full self-remote parking, a 360-degree top-down camera with a bird's eye view and a 360 outer view, basically every kind of view you could possibly want, a head-up display which is rather big and rather beautiful. You also get digital side mirrors, which we covered on the IONIQ 5 Nansang edition. These are really, really cool. And as I said before in that video, do take a little bit of time to get used to, but when you do get used to them, they do feel more of a benefit. Inside, you get leather on the seats, as well as a memory function on the driver's side. I should mention that the standard car has electric seats as well, but they're just memorized in the Ultimate version. The Ultimate also comes with a sunroof and an 8-speaker Bose sound system. And that includes a subwoofer in that as well. Oh, and you also get info lights on the steering wheel. But what about the cost? Well, for the premium, as mentioned, the car starts from £47,040, which is rather competitive when you consider all of that specification, and as well as the fact that it's got a 338-mile range, and the fact that you're driving around in a car that looks, well, like this. In fact, I kind of think it looks about double what it actually costs, but I'm sure the comment section will let me know different. But Dave, I hear you cry once again from the other side of the screen. That must mean the Ultimate's going to break the bank. It's going to be massively overpriced. It's going to be £10,000 more than the premium version. No, because at the time of filming anyway, the Ultimate starts from £50,540. By adding the 325 PS motor and the all-wheel drive, the price goes up by £3,500 per model. I guess now it's time to talk about the engine, or the lack thereof. The standard car comes with a 77 kilowatt-hour battery with a 228 PS electric motor, which is rear-wheel drive. There is an upgrade you can get, the same 77 kilowatt-hour battery, but you get four-wheel drive and 325 PS. That's if you want to get everywhere looking like you've been on a roller coaster. The charge times on these is rather staggering. Depending on how fast of a DC charger you have and conditions, etc., you can get from 10 to 80% in between 18 and 36 minutes. This means in as little as 18 minutes, you could have an extra 270 miles of range. And that's faster than my local pizza can get a pizza to me. And I'm only one street away. If only it took 18 minutes to drive 270 miles, but we can't have everything in life. I guess we've held off long enough. Time to talk about the drive. So let's pop it into normal mode and see how that fares. First of all, much like the IONIQ 5, the car is extremely quiet, which I appreciate because this is almost certainly going to be one of those ones that does the long journeys. I mean, it makes sense. A lot of room in the back, really long range, streamlined design, kind of fits. You also have a really nice input from the steering wheel. It doesn't feel like everything's all electronic as it most certainly is. It feels like you're driving a car, so you don't feel detached from the experience whatsoever. And then, unlike its IONIQ 5 brethren, it's quite low and quite slippery and has a different suspension setup. So, when you get to a corner, it grips. Woohoo! And of course that rear-wheel drive pushing the back out means that it is always a little bit fun. But considering that this is the only IONIQ6 in the company right now, I think it's probably a good idea not to try and go around corners very fast in the wet. But you can definitely pull the trigger. There we go, we're braking, getting back some of the energy we would have lost from braking. It's all rather exciting. Hyundai steering wheel, as ever, similar design, of course, to the IONIQ 5, is, once again, pretty much perfect. The right thickness, the right way it feels, the right way it's got a flat bottom, round top. You also don't feel like this car is a wide boy, even on streets like this where you're getting quite close to cars. And when you want to open it up, the acceleration, even in this one, which is the standard car, feels fantastic. Okay, so here we are, sport mode into drive, completely put your foot flat on the floor, and not even a little bit of wheel spin. Not even a drop. The car's electronic brain gets you that perfect launch every time, even with all that torque going through the rear wheels. Oh, they need to make an N version of this car. It needs to come out. It would be phenomenal. 0 to 60 in this car is 7.1 seconds. And the all-wheel drive version is 5.1, although a fair few motoring magazines has stated that they've done it themselves and was around 4.9 seconds to 60. That would make it faster than a fair few vehicles. For example, the 2022 VW Golf GTI, the 2019 Audi e-tron, the 2021 BMW 330i, as according to 0 to 60 specs.com anyway. Quite impressive for a car that's cheaper than most of those and feels this well equipped and this well designed. This car is a massive step in the right direction. It gets rid of that whole everything has to be an SUV thing that's been going on for years. It's phenomenal to drive, it's really well priced, the range is fantastic, and it looks phenomenal. So if you want to have a drive of one yourself, you know our numbers. And as I said before, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And obviously, if they ever do an N version of this, then I'll be driving that too. But for now, time to go home.